What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to take a look at a sneaker brand that is absolutely near and dear to my heart. If you guys know me, you know that the shoes that I probably wear more than any brand, it's not Nike, these things right here. I love me some Vans, and I'm going to talk about a couple of things with Vans specifically, as well as a brand new release that I just got my hands on. So let's get into it. Okay, so why Vans? What about this California-based company speaks to me? Because generally speaking, unless you know me well, you would probably never think that someone who can't skateboard but does love the culture is going to be out here rocking skate shoes probably at least 60 to 70% of the time. And yeah, the biggest question I usually get is, aren't those uncomfortable? And I'll be totally honest with you guys, for the most part, no. They're not much more uncomfortable than Nikes. Actually, some of these pairs, especially with this...
A few moments later.
Sorry, you guys, I had a little bit of an issue with my iPhone storage yesterday. I thought I was recording the whole entire video. It barely recorded anything, so I'm popping back in here to basically tie in what I was saying yesterday. And just to finish off my point, the newer versions of Vans, the reason why they are comfy is they've got this pop cush insole, which I'll be honest, compared to most just generic GR Nike insoles, way more comfortable. That's what I love about a lot of the modern day Vans. Now let's actually talk about why I do have a deep affinity for Vans, dating back, of course, to my time growing up in the 90s. Growing up in Seattle in the 90s, I was just immersed with skate culture. Everything that it kind of was symbolic of at that time was something that I was into. So a lot of the movies that had skate culture, like the movie Kids, music like Wu-Tang, and then of course the shoes like Vans. By the way, one of my all-time favorites, this collab with Supreme on the Bruce Lee. I just loved everything about that era. As I kind of grew and got older and started making my own money, Vans were a much cheaper sneaker than, say, Jordans or even some Air Maxes that I want. So I was able to purchase Vans and wear them all the time because they would just get beat up and no one thought anything of it. Fast forward, Vans is probably one of the best collaborating sneaker companies out there. Puma does a really good job, and the SB line for Nike does a very good job. Jordan, so-so. But Vans does collaborations with IPs that generally don't do collaborations, like Nintendo, for example. Disney, they're pretty picky about who they collab with. And then, of course, street brands like Supreme and Fear of God. Vans has always been a very popular sneaker line, but I don't think it got hype until just recently. That's why we're going to talk about this particular pair, why it's so hyped up, and what do I think about the fact that now Vans is a hypebeast magnet moving forward. The official name of these sneakers is the LX Old School 36, Souvenir, Asphalt, and Multi, and this is a size 12. Whoops. And I will say that the Old Schools is one of my favorite models as far as what Vans does for silhouettes. I also really like the Eras, and both of those sneakers, if you look right here, it's because they've got that padding around the ankle liner. That padding definitely for a wide footer or someone that's a little more heavy set, it's going to be a more comfortable fit than, unfortunately, for example, the Authentics, which are very thin and don't really have a lot of give in terms of stretching them out with a wider foot. This particular pair, I believe, is the third colorway that they came out with in a very similar design. A lot of them, I think they were kind of calling like the Chanel bag inspiration shoes. This one in particular drew my eye originally because of the fact that it has that pink and blue tie-dye. What I don't like, two things. I don't like that a lot of Vans, especially the more hype ones, so I guess that's okay, they come pre-distressed. So if you look there at the sole, as anyone who wears Vans will tell you, the first time you wear them, they're going to get scuffed, they're going to get black, they're going to get dirty. That's just kind of what happens when you wear Vans. And I think part of that is just going back again to skate culture. When you would skate, you would beat your Vans up. A lot of my friends that were skaters back in the 90s, their shoes were always just absolutely cooked. But I think that was kind of part of what made it cool, was like, okay, you're definitely getting out there, getting a lot of reps in. You're probably a better skater. So That's why these shoes look cooked. So I don't necessarily like the fact that now we've got pre-cooked Vans right off the rip. And the second thing is I just don't really care for the gray on here. I don't know what it is. I just feel like the gray doesn't necessarily complement the pink and the light blue and the other bright colors. I think a black or even a white would have potentially looked better in this case. The laces too, I was disappointed it didn't come with a pair of pink or even blue laces to kind of match. It just comes with like this light gray or bone, and then I think there's a black pair inside of here. So wasn't too excited about that. I do like, of course, those little pins that we got right there. The charms are always a fun addition. I do absolutely love that. But is this a sneaker that I think is deserving of the hype? And I'll be honest with you guys, not really. Now, of the 3 colorways that they have done with this specific release, this is by far the least hyped pair, but it still is reselling for more than what the actual retail is. This particular pair, while there is some resale, it's not like I'm going to go to a resale sneaker store and get all of my money back and then some. If anything, I'll probably just return these 2 Vans because, you guessed it, this is a drop for me, not a cop. I'm not going to keep it. It's a cool pair, but it's just not what I like as far as the gray and the pre-distressed on the sneakers. So I'm going to take them back. What's your guys' thoughts on these? What's your guys' thoughts on Vans all of a sudden becoming hyped again? And what's your guys' thoughts on moving forward? Do we think that this is sustainable? Are Vans going to now all of a sudden become the next big thing and everything's going to be selling out? Kind of like what happened with the Jordan 1 highs a few years ago and the Dunk lows. You couldn't even keep those shoes in stock. Every single pair was reselling for at least twice the retail cost. What's going to happen with Vans, with sneaker resellers, and what's going to happen moving forward? Let's talk about it in the comments. My name is Wiz. Peace and love.